Very excited to see e-tron on the screen here in round number 7. 2 rounds to go here on day number 1 of competition. I'm going to pass it on over to the booth here for the call. Hi, you two.
Thank you very much, Maria, and the rest of the team over at the desk. And Marnie, of course, we are very excited to bring to the viewers a classic tale of good versus evil. Heroes versus villains as we get underway with Jesco Control versus Eldrazi Tron.
I just want you to clarify, who's the hero?
Well, I think for many people it's just going to be villain versus villain.
Okay.
This is a real sort of villainous arc, I guess.
Yeah,
but look, for me personally, I'm a big fan of Jesco Control, big fan of Javier Dominguez, and I'm looking forward to see him continue to crack some skulls in the feature match area. We've already seen him with this deck perform just at a level that shows a blinding level of competence, right? Yeah. This guy knows his way around this list. He knows what he's come to do. I don't know that this is necessarily the matchup that he was cooking for.
No, this is the opposite.
You know, we will see if David González is a hungry boy, if he's got an appetite for a bit of what the Spanish chef is putting down, you know. Having said that, Tron can be a very tricky matchup for blue-white based control decks, historically speaking. Money, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it is, you know, when I was talking to people at the player party, the big consensus was Jesco's really good, really well positioned. It does not want to face Eldrazi Tron.
Boo.
So rough matchup for Javier.
Yeah, and look, this makes sense, right? You've got cards like Galvanic Discharge, which just do absolutely nothing, really. They can take down a Khan, maybe. It's just your deck isn't lined up to face the sort of the threats, right, that González is putting down. And then Wrath of the Skies, this is a card that has really juiced up Jesco recently because it is able to take out cheap, diverse threats quickly and efficiently. And if there's one thing that Tron has, it's not cheap and diverse threats.
Oh, my bad. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Certainly not that.
Okay. I'm trying to do some math. 1, 2, 7?
Yes.
Is that the math?
Yes, I can see that you went to the Khan Liberated School for Mathematical Excellence. That's how they count over there. But Trinity is going to eat
numbers.
Going to eat a counter spell here. Can't have that on the battlefield when your deck's full of cheap interaction, things like Tune the Narrative and what have you.
Okay, now let's talk about a card, though. It's a one-of in this main deck.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Invert Polarity.
Well, this is an interesting one for me. Someone on my Discord pointed this out, right? I thought we weren't allowed to determine the outcome of a game of Magic with a coin toss.
Right. Well,
are we calling judges when you cast Invert Polarity on their card?
No.
No?
No.
But it's determining the outcome of a game of Magic on a coin toss.
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
No.
All right. Well, but this card's hot. It's hot. And it's poised to do a lot of work in a deck against a deck, I should say, that has really just massive, monumental threats.
Yeah, it's a card that really is, you know, at its worst, it's a cancel, right? A slightly harder to cast cancel.
Which, in fairness, is very bad.
Yes, it's bad.
It's bad.
But it is a card that control decks have played variations of in the past.
Yep.
But if you ever win that flip and you get to take control of something, imagine you take control of the One Ring. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Imagine you take control of, you know, Karn Liberated. That's pretty nice.
That's pretty nice.
Karn the Great Creator, it's a little annoying that you can't get that much with it. But you know who it's more annoying for?
Yeah.
The Eldrazi Tron player that can't activate their artifacts anymore.
Yep.
So, you know, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yep, and it's a card that is sitting in Javier's hand here, and we could see him leverage it to great effect if only he was playing Snapcaster Mage, and then he could flash it back. Here is the One Ring, a key card in
here we go.
In the Jesco deck. And now we're seeing a Kozilek's Command. Talk to us about this card. This is another recent addition with Modern Horizons 3.
It is a recent addition to the deck, and, you know, typically modal cards, incredibly powerful just because they give flexibility. But this is a particularly sweet one in this deck, as specifically that ability to scry X and then draw a card. With the amount of mana that the Eldrazi Tron deck can put together, this could be pretty close to a stack your deck kind of situation. Like, oh, do you want to get these 4 cards? Great. That'll be your next 4 draws. So this card can just do so much. And the secondary mode, of course, the removal is always great, being able to buy time, but also being able to make those spawns, essentially doubling your mana next turn, is quite exciting. So the fact that
All right, here we go. Invert polarity on the Kozilek's command. It's deemed to be
Javier
that.
says roll it.
All right, cancel.
It's gone.
It's cancel. That's enough. So these two players, of course, both of them Spaniards, so they are communicating in Spanish. My Spanish is, oh, look, you know.
I took French.
You know, in the Tarantino film Inglourious Bastards?
I do.
You know, Italian, third best?
Yeah.
I'm about there.
Okay.
I'm about there with Spanish.
Okay. Again, I took French.
Gracias.
De nada.
So we've got a hand filled with subtleties here for Dominguez, which are going to come in very handy with what González is up to for the next couple of turns. So subtlety invoking subtlety.
No, yo digo, yo 18. Voy al turno, ¿vale? Estás en 20, ¿no? Sí.
And dueling rings here, Money.
Yep. This is quite the battle of dueling rings, and currently González does have that ring protection, so even if Javier wanted to fire off the Flage, wouldn't be able to send it David's way, though he may want to just get it in the graveyard and target itself with the Lightning Helix just to, you know, at least just
pay 3 mana, discard a card.
Yeah, get it into the graveyard so you are that much closer to casting it permanently. Having drawn that counterspell, he's less likely to want to do that. Now he has access to subtlety plus counterspell available. But this is really going to be a
Emrakul off the
a
top.
race to the Emrakul.
And that Emrakul was just found. Emrakul, the promised end here. Expedition map. Sacrifice that. Now, of course, we haven't pointed out, but we probably should. González does and has had Tron for quite some time.
Oh, really? Oh, okay then.
That's why he's tapping 1 land for 3 mana.
Yep, and I think just going to get that as a Saga, continue going off, as it were.
Yeah.
The Eldrazi Tron deck, when it has this much mana, it's hard to not find things to do after a certain point.
Yeah. And the problem here is that Emrakul, the promised end, even in the face of something like a counterspell, even in the face of something like a subtlety, is still very good because of the on-cast trigger, which I'll remind you says when you cast a spell, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn, which when you've got a handful of interaction is pretty brutal.
So how much can Javier do here? He can definitely counterspell this if he wants.
Yep, which I think we're going to see here with the Mystic Gate filtering that planes into double blue. So Emrakul hits the bin, but the thing is here...
Yeah, he can play Subtlety and send 1 discharge at it using 0 energy just to bank up 3 energy.
Yeah.
I think that might be the best he's capable of.
No? Okay.
All right.
Doesn't go for that. So draws a card. Now, Dominguez will get another turn after this once González has finished playing with his toys. But what's the line here? You play the Phage, target yourself, you cast the Wrath for none?
I think David has 2 choices here. He can choose to say, I want to leave your ring down, and I want to empty you on resources, and just send everything off.
Plays the land.
Right.
It's nice.
The other option is I'm going to activate ring twice to increase the clock on you.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to discard all the good cards to hand size.
That's so smart.
And leave you with a hand
Oh,
of
that's so
garbage.
smart.
So he's not sure what he will do.
He can draw 7 cards off the ring, right?
And there's one other thing he can do.
Yeah.
One really fun thing, Riley.
Let's go.
What if he untaps his own 1 ring with Javier's Minamo?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now we're cooking, huh?
Okay, so this is going to, he's going to just use all the energy that is generated there.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to use 0 on the first one and then 6 on the next one. Yep. So that gets rid of the 2 galvanic.
However he does it, it will empty those from the hand.
Yep.
Oh. Oh, just
as passes. Okay.
All right. Sure.
I guess, look, your opponent has 4 cards in hand. You're going to leave them with 7. Even if they're bad cards, it's still 7 cards.
It's true.
Right?
I think I like the Minamo untap your own ring a lot more, but
yeah,
you know,
to give yourself the option at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. I think that would have at least been the way to go there with the Minamo. But as it is, draw 4.
Well, draw 3 first, then draw 4. We're already Minamoing here.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is the fun part of the game.
So not the most devastating Emrakul turn, and without the without the flying spaghetti monster on the battlefield here, I think Javier will consider himself to have gotten off rather leniently.
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely. I think Javier is very much still in it. The fact that David has a copy of Urza's Saga is a bit of an issue. That is the reason we didn't see him fire off the Wrath of the Skies, by the way. Even if you fired off for 0,
Oh, of course, it would have
still
destroyed the
losing
Urza Saga.
Urza's Saga.
Yep.
So really making sure that he's using the resources to his most benefit.
Yeah. Tune the narrative here. Dominguez, 2 energy and a new card off the top. And the other 2 mana, of course, spent on the untap of the 1 ring.
I think the big priority right now for Javier is making sure that David is able to never get Karn the Great Creator on the battlefield, just because the toolbox that exists in the sideboard for the Eldrazi Tron deck can really address a lot of situations. So as long as David is playing with his main deck only, it's a little bit more fair. Once you bring the sideboard into it, things get a little out of hand. So I think Javier priority 1 is make sure essentially no Karn hits the battlefield. Let's just, you know what, let's make that a blanket statement. No to Karn.
So that's why the counterspell and the Force of Negation both staying in hand here for Javier, who discards a Flooded Strand. That was a good turn for him. Drew a ton of extra cards, dealt with the threats on the battlefield, including that Urza's Saga with the Wrath of the Skies. And now it's back to David, who is going to deploy this Karn Liberator that was previously subtlety'd away.
Yeah, and I think we are beginning to see some of the issues that the Eldrazi Tron deck can run into as David activates the 1 ring and draws 4 more lands. If you can't hit this gas and you're giving your opponent time to set up these answers, then there is a real chance that Javier can try to run David out of cards, or at least meaningful cards in the matchup.
And the Devourer of Destiny in hand here for David doesn't do a whole lot. It can't get rid of the ring.
6/6.
For you know, the fact that it's a non it's a colorless permanent.
Yep. 6/6.
We're going to see it here. Is that it? It's just
That's
a 7 mana 6/6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a great big old almost crawl worm.
Javier did counterspell it, so it did enough.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
It's time for a new
Doesn't
ring.
even untap the ring. Doesn't even untap it. Just puts an extra counter on it. Draws the 5 cards straight away, and now can draw 6.
Yeah. The question is, will he want to? He's about to replace this ring anyways.
Yeah.
So the big question is the mana worth it?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes,
my
it
bad.
is. There's the
I
answer.
apologize.
There's the answer. So that's just 12 cards this turn for Javier.
Casually.
Just a casual 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take 12, thanks. Just 12 off the top for me today.
I
That's
remember
all.
casting Sphinx's Revelation for 12.
Oh,
That felt
Marnie, let's not open that can of worms. We'll sound like grandpas on a porch talking about the good old days back when Sphinx's Revelation and Elspeth's Sun's Champion were all you needed to win a game of Magic.
All right,
That's me.
Teferi came down, bounced David's 1 ring. Javier, I would be surprised to see him taking damage here. I would think he would play a 1 ring of his own, but maybe he's just willing to take 6, saying the damage isn't an issue here.
Hey, you can draw 15 cards with it next turn if he
Yeah, my
does.
bad. Sorry.
Yeah. What? 15 cards available.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I guess he can't afford to tap out. He does have the Force of Negation though.
Well, we don't know what his exact hand is. That is the big issue. Is I do believe there is a Force of Negation in his hand, but I don't know exactly what he's working with.
Okay, no, all right. I think that was a sort of, he was getting ready.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, these are the 7 cards that I want. What can I do in the meantime? We're seeing 4 mana here, so the shields might be down for David now. There is a Force of Negation in hand,
Okay.
at least.
He was doing everything getting ready to get Flage back from the graveyard before realizing that there is no Flage in his graveyard, I believe.
Oh yeah, he hasn't put it there yet.
Yeah. So
Okay, so that was 4 mana for a Flage.
I believe that's what was
Yeah, no, it
happening.
looked like it.
Yeah. From the way he said a series of colors,
Yep.
I believe that was the plan. Okay.
So
all
the
right.
1 ring. All right, we can breathe easy. The 1 ring has come down, and is Javier going to just activate it immediately? Is the call of the ring too tempting?
Yeah, because the big
hero?
issue about going down to 6,
Oh.
like down to 2, is if David just draws the second copy of Emrakul the Promised Land that he has, even if you counter it, which Javier, let's say he has ways to counter it,
Yep.
he's still going to take your turn, play your Flage, and kill you.
Yeah.
Or, not kill you, but wipe out enough.
Or just fetch shock.
Right, exactly. Wipe out enough things, resources, fetch shock, and you're not really doing anything, right? It's just too dangerous of a situation.
All right, Galvanic just discharged and a bunch of lands discarded in addition to the Flage that Javier was so hopeful to cast this turn.
So helpful.
But here we are to next turn. As David can find a way to really get himself ahead in this particular turn. Don't forget, oh, okay, there's a flute. Disrupt the flute. Don't forget there's a Khan in hand for David, but there is a Force of Negation on Javier's side. Will he let this resolve? You can name Force of Negation with it to force your Khan to resolve.
Is there a Karn in hand?
He
cast
no,
the
he
Karn
hard
liberated
sorry,
last
sorry.
turn.
Excuse me, sorry, I was getting mixed up because he subtletied it.
He subtletied
But
it
this time
earlier.
he hard counted it. Excuse me.
Okay.
No, that's my mistake. Okay, so now we are going to see the Force of Negation on the Disruptive Flute.
Yeah.
Lorian revealed exiled to cast the Force.
Yeah, I would have been curious if that Force went, if that flute was going to go after the One Ring, despite David having his own One Ring as well. But as things stand, we won't know what the choice would have been. And definitely not a situation where David's hand is allowing something to get forced through.
So there's the One Ring now for David. And a Trinosphere.
All right.
Okay. So it's all right. David's got some stuff on the board now.
David has some stuff, just no pressure.
Okay, another tower now.
And a lot of mana.
Javier is going to draw.
Down to 7.
Takes 1. He'll be able to cast this Flage, which will actually be neutral on life. Because he'll be unable to target David. So he'll have to... Oh, no, he can target the Flage itself.
He can target the Flage
itself. This
itself.
would be a 6-6.
Yeah.
And
Gain some life.
So gain some life. Yeah, goes up to 10. All right, that's not too bad.
Should you want to, of course.
You can see a dress down, double dress down, in fact. Subtlety, Supreme Verdict, Flage. Galvanic discharge the One Ring. Another Teferi, which we're going to see played. Maybe bounce the Trinosphere here.
I think he's just going to bounce the opponent's One Ring. You just can't let David have more cards in the spot.
Yep. Bounce the ring, draw a card. And what I don't see is any counter magic, apart from that Subtlety.
Yeah.
Which is not very good if you're going to tap down. I guess you've got 3 mana left over, so you can... it's just that you don't want to pay 3 mana for the Subtlety and then just have it die. Like, you're paying 3 mana, losing a card to counter something.
Right.
Like, you'd rather just have the 4 mana to hard cast it properly, but no, all right. Flage.
This time, Flage, target itself, up to 10.
The ring's protection is keeping David safe from that Lightning Helix effect. And discarding Galvanic Discharge and a Supreme Verdict.
Oof. Okay.
What have we found?
That was Karn the Great Creator. That cannot be allowed to resolve.
Right, so we've got the Subtlety, which is going to cost 3 mana and a blue card. Double dress down in hand means that Javier does have cards to evoke.
Yeah,
Subtlety.
well, the bigger issue here is if David goes Karn and Javier goes Subtlety, and David just puts it on top and plays a ring and draws it again.
True.
Javier can't really do anything anymore, and that's what I'm a little worried about here.
All right, ring resolve. Oh, okay, opening the door now, opening the door.
All right, step
For
one,
Javier
good.
to deal with this Karn, if it is indeed put on the stack. Let's see if this is the route that David's going to take. Tapping his mana at a glacial pace here as he thinks through what this turn looks like. All right. And we're going to see all is dust.
Flage down to Fairy down. It is a sacrifice effect, not exile, so Flage back in the graveyard and the Fairy graveyard fodder.
And here's the card.
Yeah, that's an issue.
So this one is not going to resolve. I think we can all recognize that this would be untenable here for Javier. And has to pay 3, of course, with the evoke.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that David didn't try to force this Karn through. I feel like if he forced the Karn through, stopped Javier from being able to activate the One Ring.
The thing is, right, if you look at it from a different perspective, if David, not knowing about the subtlety and instead playing around something like Force of Negation or just a counterspell, plays out these other cards, the One Ring designed to bait out a hard counter, that could be the line. We know that there's the subtlety in hand, but obviously David didn't play around that with his One Ring play. But if he's playing around a Force of Negation, maybe that's better? I mean, a Force of Negation...
Well, he's banking on Javier.
Yeah.
Valuing these cards that don't really have value.
Yeah.
For, like, I understand play the One Ring first. That's a card that might get countered.
Just don't activate it.
Don't activate
Yeah,
it,
true.
right?
Yep.
And all of us, Javier's never countering that. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about his Flage that can come back from the graveyard and the Teferi on one counter.
Teferi's not that job. Like, Teferi doesn't...
Right? So...
You get the value of that out of the Teferi. It comes down. It doesn't demand an answer in the same way that does in other matchups. But you can get value out of it by drawing the card and bouncing it.
So once the One Ring has resolved and you haven't baited the counter out, I think you have to assume either Javier doesn't have a hard counter,
in which case
or
you're fine.
He's going to use it on the Karn if he does have one.
In which case,
you may as well
just wait and see what if it ends up being a subtlety. Yeah. No, it's a good observation, Money. I think you're on the money there. So, David.
Okay. Didn't realize we were doing name puns. Okay. No,
I didn't even think about that.
No, it's fine.
No. That was a happy little accident.
Oh, okay. All right.
A happy little accident.
All right.
You're not on the money. You are the money.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you. I feel better now. I believe Javier did draw a Force of Negation, by the way, so was able to counter the Karn on the way down.
All right. So as far as he's concerned, all's well that ends well. But look, with his Flage, with his One Ring, he's in a much better position than you might think, given how devastating Eldrazi Tron can be in a matchup like this. But it's a testament to his skill as a player, his recognition of what these threats are, how they're best dealt with, his analysis of the board state. This guy's a master. We know it's no secret, right? This guy's he's a former world champion. He's very good at the game, and it's a pleasure to watch him play at this level.
Yeah, and it is now time for David to stack his deck.
All right, Kozilek's command here.
I would guess Exile, Flage, and stack my deck is the modes chosen. All right.
And
how many is this?
And that's useful. The fact that you can exile, obviously,
8 cards?
He has 2 more in hand, but...
okay, 8 cards.
8 cards?
I believe 8 cards. This card is a big upgrade to this deck. The combination of Kozilek's Command as well as Ugin's Labyrinth joining this deck, plus Devourer of Destiny, really just the 3 of these cards coming together really took it to another level.
All right, looks like a judge is getting involved. One of the cards in David's deck seems to be presenting something of a problem.
I do believe the judge is looking at the sideboard.
My guess is that David may not have de-sideboarded correctly. And after drawing this card or seeing this card maybe when scrying, and little look on the face there, that's my guess. It's just speculation. I obviously haven't had this confirmed, but after having seen situations like this in the past, all right, we're going to have a listen in.
Make sure to sequence the cards as they're supposed to be played, as in like not fetch, play something, pass, find the land. Just make sure to sequence the cards the way they come down, just because for the viewer experience.
I know, but
I know you're very friendly.
Got to think about the viewer experience.
We love
it. And you know what? To me, the viewer experience is the most important thing about it.
Yeah.
You know,
tournament integrity. Viewer experience.
Yeah, very important.
That's
and look, I wouldn't just be saying that if, just for the sake of the fact that the viewers are
if
watching.
you were playing in the tournament,
I'd be thinking, viewer
what
experience,
about the viewers?
number one.
Yeah.
That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, Javier right now, he's thinking, how can I make this good for the viewers?
That's all he thinks about.
Yeah.
Constantly. He's very focused on
He is a man of the people.
He is a man of the people, Marnie. I've always said this.
Yeah. The viewer experience, Riley. Think of the viewers. For once in your life.
For once in my life, I've built a career around thinking around the viewers.
Once in your life, Riley.
I've built a 10-year career.
Please, won't you think of the viewers?
I've been finally outed as a person who doesn't think of the viewers. I do apologise to listeners and watchers around the world. Anyway, let's listen in to what's going on now at the table.
Entonces lo que vamos a hacer es revelar al oponente, ¿vale? La ponemos en el banquillo y acabas de hacer lo que estás haciendo. En este caso, me parece que estás mirando 8, no sé si está mirando 8. Esta la carta que tiene que estar en el banquillo, ¿vale? Entonces para el banquillo, porque sí que tienes un warning, ¿vale? Por un dead problem, ¿vale? No sé si es el primero que tienes hoy o no.
Sí, es el primero.
¿Vale? Ojo con esto, ¿vale?
So I do hope you have your UN-style translator headsets on there, friends around the world tuning into this broadcast. But from what I could make out, it did seem like that haywire might should have been in the sideboard there.
No pillas, ¿no? Bueno, no sé.
¿Cómo?
No. Bueno, sí, está bien. Okay. Entendía que la carta, bueno, de batallar. Continúa.
Yeah, I believe a swap was made, if I'm not mistaken. The might going to the sideboard, and as it should be, the might should be in the sideboard. The correct card should be placed in the slot of the might. Because we've discovered this while the cards are being scried, the order doesn't quite matter anymore, right? So as long as the correct card is joined where the group of cards that the might would be in.
Now, look,
it is a fix.
Let's put things in perspective. This is a problem. It's not that big of a problem.
Right.
Certainly, David, as soon as he realised what had happened, he called a judge, which indicates that there is almost certainly no level of intent behind this error, which is a very important thing. The judges are able to resolve it very quickly and very swiftly. I imagine David will be issued a warning or something similar to that, just to keep track of this sort of thing, to make sure that there isn't a pattern to it. But this highlights the importance. It's something I'd say every single time I get in the booth at one of these tournaments. If you're in doubt about anything in a game of Magic,
call a judge.
Call a judge. It's not you accusing your opponent of doing anything. It's not you being a bad person. It's not you being a rules lawyer, being persnickety, anything like that. It is the right thing to do when there is doubt or disagreement between the two players at the battle. And if your opponent takes it personally, you let them. It's not your problem. It's not your problem. You're there to play good, honest Magic, and you don't let your opponent get in the way of that. Obviously not that Javier's doing that in this situation, but I know a lot of new players are very intimidated by the idea of calling a judge. They feel like it's an insult to their opponent. It is not. If you're in doubt, call a judge.
Yes. And I'm a big fan of what just played out here, because this is an evolution of the Magic rules. There was a time where this sort of situation would have been a game loss rather than a warning and a fix, and it creates a weird incentive structure for a player in that spot, knowing that if they point it out, they're going to get punished, and if they don't point it out, they're cheating, and they will or should be punished. And that's not really a good place to be.
No, indeed. So we see that resolve there in David's favour now. He picks up a Game 1 win. We're going to move now to the post-sideboard games. So Javier with a little bit of an uphill battle here. This is, I think, fair to say, a bad matchup. Are we going that far?
I would say that this is arguably Jeskai Control's only bad matchup in the format.
Now, we do get some spice in from the board. Let me tell you this. In Javier's sideboard, there is the card Commandeer. Now, 3 cards of consigned to memory. Very happy to see that. But Commandeer is something I'd be very excited to see on one of these big spells. Kind of like an invert polarity that you can cast for free. But apart from that, not a whole lot in the board here for the former world champion.
Riley, for those that may have missed what happened at the end of that game,
yes,
I believe David found Emrakul, the Promised End, the second copy, played Emrakul, the Promised End, passed to Javier, knowing Javier's deck was too small, and David would just be able to activate Javier's copy of the One Ring to draw the remainder of the cards in Javier's deck and close out the game. All of this was communicated very quickly with a Emrakul, okay, cool, I'm dead, and we're going to game 2. Of course, considering that game 1 took quite a while, both players are not really interested in a draw here, especially considering David already has one. So really incentivized to just get through that sequence as quickly as possible and move on.
Yeah, and look, Javier is a very quick player. As you can see, his play style does lend towards speed, and he would have been in that situation very happy to just pack things up and move on to the next game as quickly as possible, because obviously he's got to win 2 on the trot now, which is not going to be a hugely easy thing to do.
It is an uphill battle. Though, I will say, post-board it does get better. Javier had a lot of dead cards in his deck pre-board. So being able to thin those down, really great. And for David, he has the Eldrazi Tron problem that has, not a problem, but it is a dynamic that has always been, which is, with Karn the Great Creator, a lot of your sideboard is dedicated to wish targets, one of targets that you want to keep there.
Yeah.
So your sideboarding is pretty simple. You're never taking too much out, but you're never bringing too much
This
in.
is one of the great things about wish boards, right? Because really, Marnie, if we're going to be honest with each other, and I hope we would be, you know, we're
always,
friends,
Riley.
we're colleagues, I hope we can be honest with each other at this stage in our relationship. Sideboarding is an admission of defeat. Sideboarding is an admission that you didn't build your main deck perfectly. Sideboarding is, really, I think you'll agree with me in saying that sideboarding is for cowards.
And just to confirm, you are a control player saying this.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to let that one sink in for a bit.
Yeah.
And focus on the game where Javier just spell snared a flute.
Disruptor Flute being disrupted itself by the one-of spell snare in Dominguez list. In the main deck.
You're a control player.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Weird.
Right, here's a dress down.
Okay. Yeah, and David using this opportunity to go for a Kozilek's command for a casual 6.
This card is...
it's a card.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's very
it is
good.
quite a card.
Yeah. This is something when you look at flexible modal cards like this, you sort of think, okay, well, you know, none of the modes by themselves are hugely individually powerful, but they are greater than the sum of their parts when you can chop and change, pick the ones it's a cryptic command from years ago.
Yeah. That was 6 without having Tron online, by the way. That was 6 just off of Eldrazi.
Because it's an
Temples.
Eldrazi spell.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Kindred Eldrazi spell.
So here's the Stone Brain. This one's come out of the board.
Javier has some counters available, but you can really see the uphill battle of this matchup, which is you blink and your opponent will take advantage of it if you are the control player. They have a lot of mana to work with. They have access to a lot of cards with cards like the One Ring, and it doesn't get better for you.
Uh-oh. Here's Khan, but it's going to be hit by a Consign to Memory. This is a really, really important card. Not only, of course, does it counter colorless spells like Khan, but it counters colorless Eldrazi and their on-cast triggers at a very affordable rate.
It is very good in the matchup, but this is the issue of that Kozilek's command. David was able to sculpt a hand where he went, okay, play Stonebrain, Javier counters it. Play Karn, Javier counters it. It was like, okay, sack 4 spawn, play the One Ring.
Tormod's Crypt has come in from the board as well here for David.
Yeah, I think David's saying that if the only way Javier is planning on winning a game is with Flage, which is more or less true. Yes, Javier has access to subtlety, but that's not really going to get the job done. There's nothing like a creature land in this deck. So it's really Flage or bust. Then David is going to be ready for it. I would guess that Stonebrain was going to go after Flage, and I would guess that this Tomasz Crypt is also a bit of insurance against Flage.
I think 2 copies of Invert Polarity are in hand there for Javier. So he really does very highly value the take control effects, right? With
Just win a coin flip.
Yeah, win a coin flip.
Yeah,
win the match potentially.
Suddenly you win.
All right, Disruptor Flute number 2 here. David's going to have a toot on the flute, and we're naming Consign to Memory here.
Okay.
And a One Ring. Javier also sitting on a... Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right, big coin flip.
Invert Polarity, targeting the One Ring.
Even, it's his.
And he gets it this
All right.
time. The One Ring changes hands. Javier scrabbling along the bottom of the riverbank and finding his birthday present here.
Has a counterspell. Does he have a blue land to get? It should be a Hallowed Fountain in deck, right? Yeah, it should still be there. 2
Hallowed Fountains, 2 Steam Vents if he needs them.
Okay, and this is kind of big.
Right.
Yes, David has a lot of cards to work with, and yes, Javier is in a lot of trouble, but at least what he did was he found himself a One Ring, which gets him more cards. And he also made David be stuck with his copy of the One Ring, which is on 4. So that is some guaranteed damage coming on through.
Now, here's something I'm very interested to learn.
Yep.
Right? I think it's irrelevant in this matchup.
Yep.
But does Javier get the protection from the One Ring?
I believe the One Ring says if it was cast, not if you cast. No, it says if you cast it. No, he does not get the protection.
Because he didn't cast it.
He did not cast it. He took control of it.
He took control of it.
He did not cast it.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, again, not that it's hugely relevant in this matchup, but it might be in others.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it could in theory be relevant if, you know, he didn't take a turn immediately because he took control of it on David's turn. But, of course, it doesn't matter because that's not how it works.
All right, Javier, quick look through the graveyard. Plays a tapped Steam Vents and Ships.
All right.
David down to 10.
Okay. So let's say David plays Emrakul and Javier takes it. Can Javier win with David's Emrakul?
I think the David still gets the...
David still gets the turn.
The extra turn, yeah.
But Javier's... I guess he has a Supreme Verdict. Okay. He's not going to be able to get rid of that one. Actually, he can get rid of that one. He can pitch the Supreme Verdict to Subtlety.
Subtlety, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you don't need a target. You can just cast it.
Okay, all right now.
We got a game in our hands here.
Okay, what if you just Subtlety this card? Just pitch the Supreme Verdict, Subtlety it.
Subtlety.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're going to see.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on, Emrakul. All right, it's just one even die roll. That's all it takes.
So we're live. We are live for Emrakul, the Promised End, being hit by an invert polarity. Still on. It's the One Ring instead here. Does Javier go after this instead? Is his best avenue to victory
the ring on the battlefield?
He's going to go for it. He's going to go for another invert polarity. Huge coin flip here.
Your ring, my ring.
All right. And he gets it.
All right.
He gets it.
Redo.
Our ring. Our ring.
All right, so now David can Emrakul. And Javier has just a copy of his own ring in hand, I believe.
And now, the writing's on the wall. Javier will know that the Promised End is about to arrive.
Promised.
And draws a card with the One Ring.
Oh, tune the narrative.
Let's tune that narrative. Fine.
Tune is in the graveyard. There it goes.
Yep. Expedition map to wrap things up here for David, and he will be mind slavering Javier, as we call the effect when you take control of your opponent's any point.
We're getting a basic island, not providing David with a fail to find or 2 free damage in the form of fetch land.
Yep.
All right.
All right, plays the land. Very good of him. No, maybe not. Okay.
Well, by playing the land, I believe David would be able to go cast your One Ring and then...
You can't, because of the Disruptor Flute, it'll cost at least 3 mana extra, so 4 mana to cast.
3 extra mana, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can't go ring
so
counter.
Close.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny. His own Disruptor Flute has ended up preventing him from making this sweet play.
Hoisted by his own flute.
Yeah, hoisted by his own flute.
Yeah. Unlucky.
Unlucky. Well, casts the One Ring here. Yep. And this means that Emrakul... Oh, no, because Javier will get an extra turn by which...
Javier will get a turn.
And
the ring protection will be gone.
The ring protection will be gone,
And
okay. So, draws for turn, draws off the ring.
This might be it.
Let's see, because that Emrakul is looking real nasty on the other side of the battlefield. Does Javier have an answer to it?
He has a Teferi. I can bounce it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just do the dance hall. Oh, no, now we've got the... All right, and if this is a land...
Okay.
We need to find an untapped land here to be able to cast and replicate the Consign to Memory.
But here's the more important question. What is David currently doing about his own ring?
I think what he's doing is taking 5 damage from it.
Right, and then next turn?
Maybe taking 6 damage from it.
That would not be good.
No, certainly not. All right, take 5, down to 5. We have a consign to
Real
memory
card
here
again.
for Javier, so he can counter either the Emrakul or the on-cast trigger. Draw 6.
He needs another ring.
Finds
Another
a
Karn should do.
Yeah,
Okay,
Karn.
because now David has 2 Karns and an Emrakul.
Okay.
So we know based on Javier's hand that 1 Karn is definitely going to resolve here. And that should be enough to get, you know, another copy of the One Ring from the sideboard. I believe David keeps one in the board. Costs 1 more.
Yep. Javier should have, yeah, there it is.
3 more.
Yep.
Yeah, and then this Karn should go get a duplicate copy of the One Ring, and David can replay the Emrakul, and I believe that should be too much for Javier to come back from.
All right, there's the Promised Stand now, and Commandeer, the card in hand, stranded, unfortunately for Javier. Khan, the Great Creator, downstairs, go to the sideboard, and presumably we'll have left 1 copy of the One Ring in it.
Oh,
No, Haywire Might. Haywire
That'll do.
Might does the job as well. Casting it into the fire.
Yep.
Gain 2 life up to 7. And so that particular crisis is averted, but it's all crises all the way down here for our former world champion, who looks to be going down in straight sets to his countryman David González, who has played exceptionally well in this game, navigating all of the pitfalls and obstacles that Javier has put in his way, making sure that this favourable matchup has gone, well, at this point presumably, but it seems to be the way things are going to go, have gone his way. So well done to David, a formidable opponent sitting across from him on the battlefield. Counter spell. All right, well now we can counter his One Ring.
All right, perfect. It is a very tough matchup.
Yeah.
Javier cooked. So far, he has been beating the Nadu decks, has beat 2 of them so far, I believe. But unfortunately, this is not the matchup he wanted to see.
Oh dear. Poor Javier, as he takes what will probably be 1 final turn. Draws off the One Ring to Fairy, Force of Negation. Oh, can't activate it, of course. Yeah, with the Khan, that's not going to be any good. And so we see an immediate concession and a rather...
I'm done here. He was going through motions already, but
yes, indeed.
Once that happened, it's just, we're done.
Rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, the former world champion. But it was a joy to see these 2 play, and our Eldrazi Tron player here, David González, continues his undefeated streak. He's only picked up 1 draw, but apart from that, it's been all dubs all day, so well done to him. But Manny, we finally saw the thorn in the side of the Jeskai Control deck.
Yeah, Jeskai Control really well positioned this weekend. I'm excited to see how it continues doing, but that is not the matchup you want to see. Not that many Eldrazi Tron in the room, but it has a really good matchup in Jeskai Control, and if the Jeskai Controls are beating the Nadus, and then this Eldrazi Tron is just there waiting to face the Jeskai Controls, things get interesting, Riley.
We'll keep an eye on things, but right now we're going to take a quick break. We've got more Magic coming your way on the other side of it, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back live from Amsterdam at Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 after this. Welcome back to coverage of Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3. It's my great pleasure to welcome you back to the booth with me, Riley Knight, and joining me, my friend and colleague, Mani Davudi. It's been a great day so far, and plenty more of it is coming your way across the entire weekend. So we do thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll stick around to see who will be crowned a Pro Tour champion. And I'll tell you what, two people who are well on their way towards a top 8 berth at least, given their day one performance so far, are the players that we'll be checking in with right now, and the decks they're playing. Can't wait to have a look at both of them. Tomasz Sodomirski here is on Living End. I'm very interested to have a look at this list and see what updates have been made to it in the wake of Modern Horizons 3. But 4-color Nadu in the hands of Daniel Goetschel, who is playing a list that has really only come to life because of Modern Horizons. Nadu, the namesake marquee card in this list, has proven to be an extremely powerful new addition to the modern format, Mani.
It very much has, and it is the type of deck that pro players can't really resist when something looks just a little bit broken, as this Nadu deck has shown that it very much can be. And these two players, no stranger to playing against each other, both quite prolific Magic the Gathering online players. Daniel Goetschel as Gruul and Sodomirski as Sodek MTG. Both of them very much seasoned in the online streets.
Now, here's some interesting information for you, Mani. Exactly 2 Modern Horizons 3 cards appear in this Living End deck.
Okay.
Sink into Stupor.
Yep.
As a 2 of.
Yeah.
That's it.
Bounce spell.
And a land.
Yeah.
You needed to be.
You can't cascade into that one.
This is not a deck that has been revolutionized by the new set.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. But Living End has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. 10 years, I would say at least.
Yeah, and this is definitely Sodomirski's wheelhouse. If you go onto his Twitter profile, it says, enjoyer of linear strategies, Living End, Dredge, etc. So very much this is the type of deck that he enjoys playing, the type of deck that he thrives with, and so far he's proving that maybe you can still play what you like in Modern.
Yeah, well, it looks like it. He's doing very, very well so far here at 5-1. And playing against the big bad at the moment in the form of Nadu. But this Nadu deck's a little different, Mani. 4 colors, and the 4th color black, I believe, for Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah, Orcish Bowmasters is the primary reason to go into black. You do see some players like Daniel including a copy of Thoughtseize.
The highly scientific one of.
Yeah, 1 Thoughtseize, that is the number you're looking for. Just an additional use for that black mana. You do get some tools out of the sideboard, things like Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, in addition to the one you have in the main deck. But really, the biggest reason is just having access to the Bowmasters.
All right, Court of Calling the pick here for Sodomirski. Tomasz evoking Grief with a Dismember in order to pick apart Daniel's hand. But Daniel's hand looked a little slow. Had the Nantuko, the Spring Hunt Nantuko, it had the 1 ring.
It did look a little slow. Daniel is on the play, so...
Oh, it's worth pointing out as well, I should say, sorry to interrupt you, Mani, that this is game number 2.
Yes.
So we are post-sideboard, and Tomasz has already picked up a game win here.
Yeah, so definitely things in Tomasz's favor, being up a game and having a bit of a slower hand from Daniel. But we know this Nadu deck can really cobble together just incredible wins out of nowhere. Well, not nowhere, but, you know, pretty close to nowhere.
Very
Nowhere
powerful.
adjacent.
Very resilient deck.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've seen it just sort of... hey, look, it's a combo deck.
It is.
It's a combo deck, and it wins like a combo deck.
I like combo decks.
Do you really like combo decks?
I love combo decks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you're in the pro sideboard brigade.
Yes.
You're here trying to talk to me about how great sideboards are.
Yes.
The sideboard, the public enemy number 1 of the combo player.
Of course.
Imagine if everyone played without a sideboard. You'd be living life on easy street.
Yeah, but so would everyone else.
What do you mean?
They would also be living life without a
You
sideboard.
kill combo decks win every game 1.
Right. Everybody would be playing combo decks. And then I can't outplay my opponent by sideboarding.
I see. So you are... this is an interesting thing to explore. So you're saying that a sideboard gives a player an opportunity to leverage their play skill differential against a worse opponent.
And their deck building differential.
Now This is why I don't like sideboarding. We found out. We
we've gotten to the root of the problem.
So consider sideboarding is an act of cowardice because it allows you to be a better player of Magic the Gathering.
All right.
All right, Shardless Agent here. This is the classic way to flip one of those living ends. I guess really the classic way is, you know, I don't know, Violent Outburst from years ago. Well, not even that long ago.
Yeah, Violent Outburst no longer really...
a factor. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Today we have Ardent Plea instead.
Yeah, times have changed for old living end.
I guess
things done changed.
His living end would resolve because it's already on the stack, because he's already cast it.
It's a judge ruling happening here. Daniel asking about a card in his hand.
And until he reveals one card that can be cast. And then from the exile, this card is cast and it is on the stack.
Yeah. So let's say the living end's on the stack.
Yes.
And then I go Court of Calling, put Draenus in play, Draenus Magistrate. What does the... I don't know how rules work.
I don't know how rules work. Not just this rule, but any rule, says Daniel. Right. No, but that is a very interesting question. So Draenus Magistrate says you can't cast cards from anywhere other than your hand, or your opponent's card, I should say.
Yes.
So does it block the casting of the spell?
Once it's already cast,
yeah.
But
so this has to be done in response to the Shardless Agent or the Cascade trigger, I guess.
The Cascade trigger.
Yeah.
What Daniel is really asking here is, do I have a chance to, quote unquote, burn a living end from my opponent by having him put it on the stack? Because if he gets the Magistrate, then Tomasz will just say, okay, I'm not going to cast the living end. Back of the deck you go, right? But that will mean that once the Magistrate is removed, if it is removed, the living end is back in the rotation.
Yes.
So if you can get rid of it permanently, in quotes, that is something that Daniel is interested in.
Because it doesn't happen super often, but there are cases where in a long protracted game, the living end player will just run out of living ends.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they'll resort to just hard casting 4/4s and 3/3s, and if you're really lucky, a generous cent will hit the battlefield for you.
Right, so here's the Court of Calling for 2. I think we're going to see Draenus Magistrate here. A very a key inclusion, this card.
Yeah, it's really one of the big benefits of playing these Nadu decks is you have an instant speed toolbox that you can access.
Right.
All right, 2 cards in.
And you can hear Sodomirski there say, I will not cast this. Shuffles the 2 cards together. Would you like to cut? And
would you like to randomize these 2 cards?
And they both go below decks here.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe Sodomirski has a copy of Force of Negation in hand, but didn't have a blue card to pitch to it to get through that Court of Calling. I believe one of the cards in his hand is a living end.
No, he did have a. He had the Sink into Stupor. It's not on his. It's on his turn, so he's not able to cast it.
No, of course. This was all in response to the Shardless Agent. Riley, it's been a long day.
It's been a long day, man.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess I should just cast it. Well, you can't cast it.
Brazen Borrower, one of the outs to the Magistrate, able to bounce it. Should you have access to it, I believe there is one
of it
in Sodomirski's deck. We are in post-board games, so could have access to it.
Next turn, you take 1, 2.
But no, in hand, I can see one of the living ends, and I think it's Subtlety, Force, and Sink into Stupor.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the clock.
One is living end.
Yes. So no, honestly, not a great hand.
Not a great hand.
Not a great hand.
There's the Force of Negation, exiling the Subtlety.
And back over to Tomasz, who finds a generous Ent. And he's going to cycle that away for a forest.
Generous Ent.
Sure.
For a Temple Garden.
Sure.
Sure.
And plays a tapped Temple Garden here.
Back we go, Daniel's way.
Yeah. So the game slowed down a little bit here. And Daniel just needs to find his combo pieces. But as long as that Draenus Magistrate's on the battlefield, there's not really a whole lot Tomasz can do.
Well, let me tell you something.
Tell me.
Daniel has a Pendelhaven in play.
Uh-oh.
These 1/1s are about to get aggressive.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, they can attack past the...
That is a clock.
They can attack past the Charles Agent here.
1/1s, assemble.
So,
Right, in they come.
Nope.
swing for
No,
2.
potentially not. Okay, threatening.
No
All right,
blocks.
just 2 damage coming across.
15.
Tomasz is going to take it. Down to 15.
Go.
Yep.
All right, subtlety the pickup. Still able to cast that if
Go.
needs be with a Sink into Stupor, or can just hard
How many
cast it
does
here.
it
Yep,
Three.
the Hedge Maze and Island, providing the double blue.
Daniel just thinking on the end step. If he would like to do anything, of course, we don't have a great look at what's in his
Trigger,
hand.
insect. Swing for...
We seeing another chord
yeah,
here.
swing for 4.
No, he's attacking.
It's just a straight up attack. Wow. Yeah, turn them all sideways. Get them in there. The Pendelhaven threatening to activate in the event of a block.
That insect is on the battlefield, by the way, but as we have seen, there are quite a lot of draws. So the players are trying to make an effort to play
cards,
quite
yeah.
fast.
Yes. No, I think what Daniel's there is doing is separating.
The summoning sick versus non-summoning
Yes.
sick ones. Usually he puts it with the magistrate to indicate it's not attacking, but at the moment he was like, make a token, mention it, all right, let's focus on other things. We'll do that after it's my opponent's priority.
Subtlety the play here, just the
Okay, go to blocks is fine.
old flash 4-mana 3/3.
This is the risk of attacking with the Springhorn Nantufu.
Yeah. You're not blocking it.
Nope.
And now Daniel, think about what he wants to do. And now we're going to see a Court of Calling.
Yeah, this looks like a Court of Calling to me.
So Court of Calling, sure. So chord for
A little bit of
6,
Drake
3. Looks like a Nadu here,
yep.
I would guess.
Just think for a second. Yeah, exactly. No, you... Well, whatever.
Chord for
4
3.
for 3.
Yep.
1 for 3.
And it's going to be Nadu. Yep.
All right, it's time for Pendelhaven to get a Nadu trigger.
If you want to...
It's the only possible solution here.
Pendelhaven insect trigger Nadu.
All right.
Fetch
And
land,
make an
land,
insect.
landfall,
Great. Love this deck.
Wow.
And then, yeah, go to damage, so you take 4.
Go to 11.
Take
Which
4 damage
dies.
as the subtlety eats up one of the insects. Was there any reason not to block the Nantuko there?
Let's take a look at this deck. We'll let you know in a moment.
Go.
Is it
And
because
it's
you're
gonna
worried
roll
about a
19.
Bowmasters plus Pendelhaven activation?
Yeah, Bowmasters is a reasonable answer.
But how worried about you are you about losing?
Bristly Bill is a reasonable answer.
Cat,
Okay, because you can
like
flash it in with the Court of
insect,
Calling. All right.
Yeah.
Life again.
So there are cards that would,
There's one more.
on a surface level,
Yeah.
incentivize you not
Surveil
to
one.
block the Nantuku.
Very cautious block there
Yeah.
from Tomasz.
Gonna make the... I guess I
Okay.
missed it.
Another insect.
How much life do you have, man? 18 or
I
7?
have 11, you have 18 now.
Yeah.
All right, 18
So,
to 11. The players
Surveil.
confirm the live totals.
Very good at that. Go to untap.
Okay, Nadu put in the bin with a Surveil trigger. And it's back to Daniel's turn now, who has a bunch of insects. And Nadu, a Shuko would just mean game over here.
Yeah, Shuko would be very much GG here.
You have 15
As
life
is,
or
Daniel has
11?
one way to target, I believe, in the Pendelhaven.
Mhm.
So we'll see if he can find more. Another Court of Calling would also probably be lethal. He would be able to go get the Outrider Encore from his deck, and that would get the job done. But we may just see the
Speed.
aggression plan come out.
Block,
Sure.
block the Nadu and 1 token.
Okay, those are the blocks here.
Sure, I'll Pendelhaven the token you're blocking, trigger my Nadu, reveal Satsis,
Right,
go to
so
damage.
it says goes to hand.
Yeah, my dice.
This dies, you take 4.
And Nadu, with its 4th point of toughness, is going to survive the exchange
Love
with,
Nadu.
So, right?
with the subtlety.
Yeah. Second main phase, I'll Satsis you.
And a Thoughtseize will reveal not a whole lot here for Tomasz.
All right, there's
Sink into Stupor.
Yep.
And Living End, which isn't really too much of an issue.
Yeah. And Tomasz just needed Daniel not to have an untapped white source there because he hadn't presented it yet. The Stupor would bounce, but the Magistrate, and then if he isn't able to play it again, he draws a Cascade
got a
spell.
one-turn window.
He would able to go to Living End, but unfortunately, that was not the case.
All right, well, as it is now, we move to game number 3 after Daniel picked up a win there in our second game. Nadu showing just how good it is. Put it on the battlefield, draw a bunch of cards. Well, actually, really was the Nantuko.
Yeah, the
that flooded
Nantuko
the board and just did
and
all the chip damage.
Having disruptive elements against the linear strategy of Living End. That is the unfortunate downside of being an enjoyer of linear strategies is linear strategies are able to be answered because they are in fact linear. So something definitely that Sodomirski in all of his career playing Magic has had to deal with, knows how to deal with, as we saw even in that game. He did have a plan. He did have a line, even though his deck was not cooperating with him. He did have an avenue to try to play to victory. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You just have to play to it.
Daniel on a mulligan to 6 here. Tomasz was able to keep a crisp 7. With the Hedge Maze putting the Street Wraith in the bin there, you can see that he's already setting up for what he will, I'm sure, be hoping is a big Living End. Architects of Will, Waker of Waves, double Dismember, and a Beseiju in addition to the Shardless Agent. Interesting set of choices here.
Yeah, taking one of the big creatures really doesn't do anything, so if you really think that you can fight through one piece of disruption but not two, you would take a Dismember. But I think as is, you have to take the only Cascade spell that Tomasz has access to and say this will slow you down enough more than the 2 Dismembers will slow me down.
What this means is that we are settling in for a much grindier game because now Daniel has to play around or figure out a plan to beat 2 copies of Dismember, both of which will deal with the Nadu nice and neatly. And
Pass if it resolves.
there's always the chance. There are 7 more Cascade cards in Tomasz's library. He's odds on to find them as well with the Cyclers.
Oh, absolutely. We are definitely geared in for a longer game right now.
Sure.
Right, Waker of Waves, have a look at the 2 top cards, and we see...
One of them was a Sphinx.
Yes. One of them was
the other
one,
one.
Curator of
Yes.
Mysteries, and the other one was... Mystery card at this stage. Didn't get a good look at that.
I
Apologies.
think a Subtlety, or it might have just both been Curator, as he did.
There's another
put one in
Curator
the bin
in
and
hand,
one
yeah.
in hand.
Right, Curator, cycle away.
I did see an Ardent Plea picked up, but he is missing the white source for that at the moment.
We've got a Flooded Strand, which will fix that.
All right, perfect. We're online. This could be a quick one if Daniel doesn't have anything here. And I believe Tomasz also has a Subtlety in hand. I like this because Walliver's was representing 2 mana with a Chord of Calling, so Daniel had access to Chord for 5 mana, getting that Drannith Magistrate if he hadn't used that Dismember. And I think this is Tomasz just saying, I'm going to position myself for a win, and you need to have one of your few hate cards with mana that doesn't really support those hate cards.
And this is the thing about those hate cards being played as like in a toolbox capacity as one-ofs. You don't find them as naturally, and the ways to find them can be a little expensive with cards like Chord of Calling. All right, Hallowed Fount, the pickup here for Tomasz with that Flooded Strand. So he'll be able to untap and put into play the Ardent Plea. And what can Daniel do about that?
Daniel has 2 copies of Endurance in his deck post-board.
Yes.
He'll need to have one and play it, and then Tomasz will, I believe, with a blue card, which I think he has, Subtlety it, and then Daniel will need another copy of Endurance. Otherwise, this game might be done.
All right, could be all over Red Rover here. We're going to see Ardent Plea with its Cascade trigger put a Living End on the stack. There it is. Daniel's going to have a quick look through those exiled cards before they're shuffled and put on the bottom of the library here.
I have the graveyard, so it stays in play, I guess.
Can we do this for the coverage?
Oh, sure.
Right, yeah. So they're just going to make things...
like resolved properly?
Okay. It's a Wall of Roots, so Wall of Roots is going to the graveyard, and then the other one is being brought back, but for the sake of simplicity, just keep the original Wall of Roots there. We all understand what's happening.
It's exiled? Or
No, it's in graveyard.
Okay, It's sacrificed.
Technically, you should exile graveyard, then sacrifice them to Phoenix.
Sure.
Kind of whatever.
Sure.
So this was basically just a mass reanimate spell here for Tomasz, because it only destroyed the Wall of Roots, which was then the other copy was brought back. I think we're all on the same page about that. But now, what does Daniel do?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Well, I'll see.
Well, he tries to assemble his combo. He plays the One Ring and hopes that he can find the things that he needs during the protection windows that he has. And notably, you know, Modern Horizons 3 is a set with a lot of callbacks, but one of the original sets that did a lot of callbacks was Time Spiral. And Living End, one of the cards that is a reference to, in and of itself, an older Magic card, Living Death, that came before it. So the references in the Magic the Gathering world run deep.
13, and I will...
Cycling a straight right here.
Or 14?
I have 13 now.
Okay, yeah.
Scry one.
Yeah.
I think
So we are on the first of 2 Curator Scries.
I went it for 16 because
So
Oh,
5.
okay, a little. Okay. So it was nothing, then for 5, then for 1, then for... No, I'm 13.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it didn't...
I thought you played that tapped.
Yes, from fetchings.
Okay, yeah.
And I was for here.
Oh, yeah.
Now Scry.
Just making sure the life total is correct. And it does seem like it is.
I'm not sure where he took the extra... Oh, he takes the extra 2 damage now from the straight
Yes.
right. Yes.
That is where we are currently. First Scry looks like he went to the bottom.
Yep. Now we're seeing a second Scry trigger from the second copy of Curator of Mysteries. Now don't forget, Daniel is under the protection of the One Ring at this stage.
There is a draw happening here. Both cards went to the bottom.
Okay.
All right. The stack is empty for the moment.
And that is a stink into super.
Attack you to assert
That's a very different
dominance.
thing to do. A stink into stupor here.
So just with one creature.
Even the one with Swamp Block, I can't block, I guess.
Okay, so attack with Swamp.
Yeah, no block.
Nothing. Go.
Try and get me a GRV by trying to block it.
Oh, Daniel, so he can see the angles. He can see the angles. Up goes the One Ring here. 2 cards here for the Canadian. He's obviously taking this in his stride and having a good time down in the feature match area. These two did seem to be chatting away reasonably pleasantly here throughout this this game and in this match.
We'll see if this works. So make a green.
Let's see if this works.
One ring.
Okay, another One Ring. It's going to try to chain things together, but can bounce it from the stack.
That is something that it does.
It says,
So let's see if I'm
return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to turn his hand. Return target spell. So this means that there is no protection
block here. I take 4, 8,
for
9, 10.
Daniel. He's going to count up how
13
much
is not 14,
damage he's
but the One
taking.
Ring will kill you.
I don't know, I guess I'll try one scheme.
So
Surveil,
is there a way
Graveyard, pass.
for him to survive here? Going to one off this attack, Marnie?
He's going to one off this attack, assuming that Dismember that we know is in hand and Daniel knows is in hand was somehow not in hand. And spoiler, it is in hand.
Yeah.
But
No violent outburst
11.
for pump. Yeah.
All right.
Scry one.
Yeah.
of course, Tomasz just wanted to make sure that everything is correct.
Keeps it on top.
Force of negation.
Force of negation. Dismember on the Wall of Roots.
Yeah.
And that will be enough for Tomasz Sodomirski to win 2 games to 1. A very entertaining game of Magic there. I certainly enjoyed seeing one of the old guard decks, really, in Modern, getting a win there. Modern has changed a lot over the years, Marnie, but Living End still able to get it done at the highest level.
Yeah. Some things will change. Some people will bring new decks. Sodic MTG will bring Living End and just keep on going.
Keep them taking names. So well done indeed to him. And it's been a terrific round that we've watched here so far.
A great day.
It's It's been a great day. It has
It's
indeed.
been a great day.
Well, what are your thoughts? Because this is we're wrapping things up. We're going to throw things over to Cedric and Corey before too much longer. So some of your impressions on Modern, it'd be great to hear, Marnie.
I loved the Modern. I loved the Limited. Can't wait for more the rest of the weekend.
All right, well, we're going to get stuck into it, of course, and stick around because there's another round of Modern coming your way to close out coverage of day number 1 here in Amsterdam. So stick with us. We'll be back at the news desk to set up round number 8, the final round of play for day number 1. We'll be back live from Amsterdam after this.